By nightfall, Los Angeles changed its face. The sunlight that once promised opportunity slowly bled into shadow, and what remained was not peace, but performance. Hollywood in the 1940s was not just an industry, it was an ecosystem, a machine built on image, on illusion, on the idea that anyone could be transformed if they were willing to be seen. Inside the clubs, smoke curled through conversations like a second language. Laughter echoed too long, glasses clinked too sharply, and every smile carried the subtle weight of negotiation. Because in cities like this, nothing is ever just social. Every room has tension. Every conversation has angles. Every stranger has a past they are trying to outrun. Outside the lights, the city thinned out, block by block. Sound faded, crowds disappeared, and Los Angeles revealed what it truly was. Not one city, but two. Posters, studios, stars. The promise of becoming someone. The second city was quieter. It existed behind buildings, inside cheap apartments, down hallways where the paint peeled and the silence lingered too long. A city of in-between lives, unfinished stories, and unseen people. Elizabeth Short moved through both versions. Like many others who came to California after the war, she drifted between possibility and uncertainty, between connection and isolation, between being seen and being forgotten. Los Angeles in this era was also a city of arrivals. People came from everywhere, the Midwest, the South, small towns with fading futures. They came seeking reinvention, and in doing so, created a population defined by movement, by temporary lives, by faces that rarely stayed long enough to be remembered. And that kind of environment creates opportunity, not just for ambition, but for something far darker. Because anonymity can protect dreams, but it can also protect predators. In the quiet hours of Los Angeles nights, there were no witnesses to most things, no cameras on every corner, no digital record, only memory, and memory is fragile. Which is why newspapers mattered so much then. They were the city's collective memory. They decided what people knew, what they feared, what they obsessed over. And when something violent broke into that carefully controlled narrative, it didn't just become news. It became obsession. Los Angeles had seen crime before, but it rarely saw crimes that refused to resolve cleanly. Crimes without closure, without explanation, without a face to blame. Those are the kinds of stories that don't fade. They multiply. They distort. They begin to feel less like history and more like something unfinished. Something still happening. And somewhere in the same city, Elizabeth Short continued her life unaware, moving through streets that glittered above her and darkened beneath her. But Los Angeles has a way of compressing time, of bringing separate lives closer together than they ever should be. Strangers crossing paths without knowing it, moments aligning without warning. And in January 1947, that alignment would finally complete itself. January 15th, 1947. Los Angeles was still half asleep. The night had not fully surrendered to morning, and the city was quiet in a way that never lasts long in a place like this. A woman and her young daughter were walking through a vacant stretch of land in South Los Angeles. Just another part of the city where development hadn't yet caught up to emptiness. A place where people pass through, but rarely stop to notice. At first, there was nothing remarkable about the scene. No sound, no movement, no reason to expect anything unusual, until they saw something in the grass. Something dark, lying too still, too deliberate. It didn't look like a person, not at first. It looked wrong, discarded, like an object that did not belong in a place where life was supposed to continue normally. The mother stopped. Her daughter stayed behind her, and in that moment of hesitation, the discovery became inevitable, because looking away was no longer possible. What they had found was the body of a young woman. Police were called immediately, and when officers arrived, the scene was secured with growing urgency, because even before details were confirmed, there was something about it that felt different, structured, intentional, staged. That was not a crime that blended into the chaos of this city. It stood apart from it, like it had been arranged to be seen. Within hours, word began to spread, and with it, the machinery of media attention began to spin. Reporters, photographers, crowds gathering at a distance they were not supposed to cross. Los Angeles had seen death before, but not like this. Not something that immediately demanded interpretation. Something that refused to stay quiet. The body was examined carefully, details recorded, measurements taken, photographs captured from every angle. But even early on, investigators understood they were not dealing with an ordinary homicide. There was precision in the aftermath, control in the placement, a sense that the victim was not simply discarded, but displayed. And that single realization changed everything, because now this was not just a murder investigation. It was something else, something that would consume time, resources, attention, and eventually the city itself. By the end of the day, the story had already begun transforming, from local tragedy to national obsession. And the woman at the center of it all was about to be named. Elizabeth Short, 22 years old. A name that was in days would no longer belong to a private life, because the press would give her something else, a title that would echo far longer than her life ever did: the Black Dahlia. By the time investigators stepped back from the scene, one question had already begun to dominate everything that followed. Not just what happened, but why it looked the way it did. Because this was not a chaotic act of violence. It was controlled, measured, almost methodical. In the language of violent crime, that distinction changes everything. There was an unsettling clarity to the condition of the body, not just in what was done, but how precisely it appeared to have been arranged afterward. To experienced detectives of the era, certain details stood out immediately. The positioning, the separation, the lack of typical disarray associated with impulsive violence. And in cases like this, those details begin to form a pattern, even when no pattern is officially confirmed. A signature is not always literal. It does not need to be repeated. It only needs to suggest intention. And here, there was suggestion. Investigators noted that the scene appeared intentionally exposed, as though the location itself had been chosen with awareness of discovery. not hidden, not buried, but placed. That single idea changes the emotional weight of the entire case because it implies the offender was not simply trying to commit a crime, but to control how it would be understood afterward. And once that interpretation enters the investigation, everything begins to expand. Because now you are not dealing with only evidence, you are dealing with meaning. Los Angeles police departments in the 1940s were not equipped for what followed. They were not prepared for the volume of attention, the flood of tips, the false confessions, the media pressure, and most importantly, they were not prepared for the psychological weight of a case that refused to simplify itself. Because simplicity is what investigators look for: a motive, a suspect, a clean narrative. But the Black Dahlia case never cooperated with that need.